Hello friends and island hopping conscious community around the world. I'm in Bali now. Spent 3 months in Thailand this year and just wanted to have a quick talk about bike safety. So far this year there's 3 people that I know that have had bike accidents, fortunately quite minor. I think one just broke her cheekbone. But either way, still really serious and still a lot of kind of nasty injuries that really take some time to heal. Concrete and roads are not friends of human skin, unfortunately. As you can tell, I have my helmet. I buy a helmet every year when I come to these places. They're really cheap, about £20. I think this one was about 900 baht. I do usually get a full face one, but for some reason this year I went for this one. I would recommend a full face one. All of the injuries from people that I know this year would have been reduced if they'd have had a full face helmet, and in 2 of the cases would have been reduced if they even had a helmet in the first place. So this is the first thing you want to do when you get a bike. I'm going to run you through a couple of other things that might help you, or should help you as you journey around these beautiful places. So this is my bike from this year. It's a Honda, what's it called, Vario. I don't usually go for these ones because this one's got something called dual brake on it. I want to show you what that means. It means if I pull the back brake, which is this one on the if I was sitting on the bike on the left hand side, as I pull that brake, you can see a mechanism on the other side, which is the front brake, is also being engaged. So this is a dual brake bike, so it means when you pull the back brake, it's also pulling the front brake. I really don't like these. I don't know how I've ended up staying with this, particularly if you're on places like Koh Phangan where there's a lot of sand on the roads. You don't want to be going around a corner. It doesn't even have to be very sharp bend. You really don't want to, if you did have to pull the back brake, you really don't want the bike engaging the front brake, because that's what will make you just completely come off the bike. Some people aren't even aware of that you really don't want to use a front brake on a bike unless you're really going in a straight line and you need to brake really hard and really fast, and you know, also to make sure there's no grit or loose surfaces on there. At least if you have to hit the back brake, you know, you can kind of feel the back of the bike skidding, and you can control that much easier. With the front brake, it will just take you away, and also you risk going over the handlebars if you pull the front brake too hard. So I do know of somebody who just recently had an accident and a dog came out, and she ended up flipping the whole bike, I believe, over the dog. I don't know if she hit the dog or not, but she was very lucky really, but you know, she obviously hit the front brake and ended up going over the handlebars. So there's many risks and dangers on the roads here. So how can we reduce them? Well, the first thing is obviously wear a helmet. Normally if you're riding a bike, you've got a whole lot of safety equipment on, leathers to protect all of your skin, and really sturdy boots, and generally we're not wearing that stuff because it's quite hot over here. So I'd really recommend that you do wear some good shoes, because you'll find that when people do come off their bikes, there's always injuries to the ankles and the feet, which are just really quite horrible. So it's nice to have that. And also I've saved myself a few times when I've been going around corners and all of a sudden there's been a loose surface and I've felt the bike going, and that's even without brakes, and I've been able to quickly get my foot down. So definitely barefoot, you don't want to do that, and you know, having a good pair of shoes can really save you in those situations. So yeah, so that's, you know, helmet for everybody really. It's just, you know, it's just not cool to be riding around thinking you're some rock star with no helmet on. We need to protect our heads. The rest of the body can, you know, fix itself if we do come off, but the head's a bit of a different situation. So the other thing I wanted to talk about as well is something called counter steer. We could make this video really long. I'm trying to keep it short. Counter steer is really something, in my view, if you don't know what counter steer is, you really shouldn't be riding a bike. If you are riding a bike and you don't know what counter steer is, and there's some people that have been riding bikes for many years that don't know what counter steer is, then take some time and go onto YouTube. There's some really good videos on there. There's some on there which will probably scare you from riding a bike, where you'll see someone who one video that I know of where the gentleman, I think, died because he didn't understand counter steer, and he basically rode himself into the front of a truck on a corner. What counter steer is basically the kind of the clues in the name. It's counter steer. It actually means that once you get to about, it's actually only about 10 kilometers an hour, 15 kilometers an hour, where you get used to riding the bike just sort of leaning your body, and you kind of get into this nice flow and you go around the bends and all seems happy and wonderful. But what will happen is if you all of a sudden need to move the bike very quickly, which could be a life-saving sort of situation if a truck or car's coming around the corner, or if you've taken the corner too fast, or if something runs out in front of you, you really need to understand what counter steer is, because it means you can maneuver the bike very quickly, safely, by using your arms, by pushing the steering in the opposite direction to what you want to actually go. And it's very hard to do this often by using the weight of the body, particularly in a sort of a panicked emergency situation. So I really recommend you look up what counter steer is. It will save your life one day if you ride a bike very often, and you can start using that as you ride to understand what the dynamics are of a bike. So I would highly recommend look up what counter steer is. Maybe if I get a chance another time I can make a video on that. The other thing as well is just don't put anybody on the back of your bike. You know, most people riding bikes don't have a bike license, haven't had any formal training on how to ride a bike, and here we are zooming around all over the place. So unless you've got a couple of years experience and you really feel comfortable on a bike, don't put your friend on the back, because it's really going to change the dynamic handling of that bike and put your and their life at risk as well. So yeah, what else can I say about bikes? Check your bike when you get it. You know, most of the time they're not checking the tire pressure. I've taken bikes out and been like, wow, this feels really weird, you know, and some people would just carry on driving that bike, but actually the tire can be completely empty of air. A lot of the tires, they stay on the rim, they're designed to stay on, but they can be completely flat and all seems okay, but then you get on a bit of an uneven surface or some cobbles or something like that, and the bike will just do some really bizarre things with you and easy to fall off. So whenever I get a bike, I check all those things. I check the tires, I get down, grab them with my hands, squeeze the tire, bounce up and down on it. I check the brakes, I want to make sure they're adjusted well. Personally, for me, I like to get a bike that's a couple of years old, because I know that when you get a new one, it's more easy to get sort of scammed if there's any damage done to it. So I always go for a bit of an older bike. And also what I like about the older bikes is they often don't have the dual braking thing. It's the newer bikes, the newer Hondas that have that. So for me, I trust myself and my judgment to use my back and front brake as I feel that I need it, rather than the machine sort of doing that for me. And if I need to brake really hard, I don't really want that front brake necessarily getting put on as much as what the bike might decide it wants to do. So yeah, I would recommend you go for a bike that doesn't have the dual braking setup as well. So yeah, I hope you all stay safe on bikes. Definitely check out counter steer. It's so important. I can't believe how many, even people I know that have been riding bikes for years, they don't know what counter steer is. We're actually doing it intuitively most of the time. You know, there's a lot of other things to talk about. I'm a big fan of, when I ride a bike, of having my arms straight, because I find that gives much more control. My whole body becomes kind of locked in together, and it also means, particularly with counter steer, it's just easier for me to know which side to push on if I need to turn in a direction. But you know, just take it easy, go slow, check the bike, make sure that's safe, and whatever you do, stick a helmet on your head. Okay, love you all, bye bye.